like has so like my next question was like, has your research changed in the last year where you kind of like went from more of I think there's like as markets change, as like like I guess like a market structure or like narratives change, like people tend to have like different styles. So,
Hmm.
I think I've seen some of the threaders or, some of the guys go from more of, like day-to-day kind of like on-chain data to like more of like a like specific token kind of like like threads. I've seen a lot of like those shifts in some of these researchers, or just purely going from like very qualitative into more of like a quantitative, like relying on other tweets as well to kind of like quantitative data. So I'm wondering if like your research style has changed or has it been, similar, and like what kind of like style are you using to kind of put your content out there right now?
Yeah, it probably has slightly changed. I guess um, as the market changes, you have to kind of adapt, and you also have to adapt depending on like what feedback you get and whether it's whether some things aren't particularly working. Obviously, kind of the um, I started my research series and my threads like in the middle of the bear market 2022 because I thought here's a great opportunity to do some just real research, just get a portfolio of projects where I've done a lot of research on, and then ready for um, when times are better, we can start investing into them. So it's kind of, I guess, part one, what projects to invest in, and then part two, finding the right time to start getting into them. So I think definitely recently I'm starting to feel a lot more bullish on the market. I wouldn't say that we're out of the woods yet. My feeling, because I think that this year, is probably going to be relatively choppy. Um, I think Bitcoin is still probably going to show strength over most altcoins. So generally, like it's better to be cautious until you're 100% sure that you're happy with an investment. In terms of my like research style, I've tried to keep it fairly consistent. The I guess the projects that I choose to research is kind of based on like interest, just what I see people talking about on Twitter, what I'm interested in personally as well. So that kind of guides me, and I'll try and pick one or two projects every 2 weeks to write a thread about. But and a lot of it is driven by the narratives as well. So you have to kind of keep a tabs on what's potentially trending. So
How
like,
do you keep those tabs?
yeah, it's a good question. It's probably something I want to get better at for sure. I think it's probably you have to be very across Twitter. Looking at it every day to see what people are talking about. But it's
Okay.
more about
So it's got to be manual.
yeah, it's pretty time consuming, I guess. But it's more around thinking ahead, what's happening in the next 3 months that could be like a catalyst. So potentially a good example was start of this year, maybe the LSD narrative started
Yes.
to get some real traction,
Yep.
and then obviously with the ETH Chappella upgrade just recently, that was the main sort of catalyst because everyone was thinking, okay, well, if ETH is unlocked, then you can start, having more confidence in staking solutions, and it makes sense that then the staking type coins will have a good potential TVL inflow and stuff like that. So that's an example, I guess, where you try and look ahead to future events and sort of think what are some catalysts that um, could cause a particular project to have some inflows. But you have to be quite ahead of that, because right now it's probably a lot of the hype has sort of died down. It's all happened. Not to say that they still have a lot of a lot of growth, but yeah, it's almost like it kind of is a bit of a crystal ball as well, like and it's a bit of luck as
Oh, of course.
and
Yeah,
finding
yeah.
finding the right narratives. But I think what I want to get better at is probably documenting them, figuring out a way to track them and keep a closer eye on them.